Once you've edited a template and made it your own, and you're completely happy with it, you'll want to export it to a video. In PowerPoint 2010 and 2013, you have a direct export to video option, but there are some things you need to do before you go right ahead. The first thing I do when I'm exporting a presentation to video is to rehearse the timings within the presentation. I do this by clicking on the Slideshow tab and then clicking on Rehearse Timings. Now, as soon as you click on that, the slideshow begins to play in accordance with the animations that have been programmed into each individual slide. And once all the animations on the first slide have taken place, it's up to you to click the space bar to move the presentation on to the next slide. So as each slide plays, I'll read it to myself, and once I've read all the text and seen all the happenings on the slide, I click the space bar to move it on. Because that way you have a pretty good way of telling if you can read everything and are happy, so will other people be. And basically you just keep clicking the space bar to move the presentation on until you reach the end slide. I'll just go ahead and do a little bit of that now so you can see. Okay, I've just stopped that now so you can see what happens if you get halfway through a presentation and you decide you want to adjust the timings and start again. I just press the escape key and the box pops up that tells you the total time for your slideshow was only 20 seconds. That's because I stopped it partway through. But it also says, do you want to save the new slide timings? Of course, if I stop it halfway through, basically I want to say no. If you get right to the end and you're happy, you would say yes. Okay, so in this case, what I'll do is I'll just say yes and I'll pretend that I reached the very end slide. Now, what happens is, when you reach the very end slide, I always like to give it a good 5 or 6 seconds after all the animations on that slide have finished before I go ahead and click the spacebar to end the presentation, because that's usually where the call to action is or where the contact details go, and you need to give people a bit more time to either heed the call to action or to take down any contact details. But once you've clicked the spacebar after the very end slide, like it showed you earlier, PowerPoint is going to tell you how long the presentation lasts for and asks if you want to keep the timings. In that case, I pressed no because I stopped it halfway through. If I'd have gone through all the way and I was happy, I would have clicked yes. Now, once you're happy with all the timings, you can click on File, Export, Create a Video. You get some choices here that you can make some adjustments. I always make sure the top box is set to Computer and HD displays. If you want to change it, you click on the drop down arrow. You can say, yes, I'll set it to an Internet and DVD quality, which is a medium quality. Portable devices is a small quality. And Computer and HD displays is the best quality, a large file. I always like to keep it on that. Now the second box, I always use recorded timings and narrations because we've just rehearsed the timings and we wanted to keep them. Your choices are don't use recorded timings and narrations, or you can preview them through, but you've just done that previously anyway. So I always say use recorded timings and narrations. Now, if you were to choose don't use recorded timings and animations, you have the option to choose how many seconds is spent on each slide before it moves on to the next slide. But as each slide is different, this isn't going to work very well because you're going to be given a set number of seconds per slide, and some may not fit, some may fit. It's just a case of potluck. So always use recorded timings and narrations. And after that, you just click on Create Video. You're then going to be asked where you want to save the video to, and you can browse through on your computer and choose where you want the video to output to. And then after that, it's just a case of waiting and letting PowerPoint do its thing to create the .mp4 file.